down 2 flights of stairs, back down into the main area where the guys were packing away the equipment. And then when I got downstairs, I got shy. Weird. And I just sort of sat down on the sofa.
Yeah.
And I'd had a friend that had come to that gig, and I hadn't seen that friend in a year.
Oh,
And
wow.
that friend I met during COVID, because I was very vocal during COVID. I was involved in a lot of the protests and the marching. We can get into that a little bit later if you want to. But this is where I met this guy. And this guy is a security guard by trade. And so he was waiting for me to come back down, because obviously we hadn't seen each other for quite a while. And I was sitting on the sofa. I must have been sweating. I was really pale. I was kind of in the room, but not really in the room. And he's watching me from across the room, unbeknownst to me. He's watching me from across the room. And I'm sitting there, probably about 5 minutes has gone past, and I can't move off of that sofa. And then he's just come over and he's gone, "Are you okay?" And I've gone, "I think I'm having a heart attack." And he's like, "What? What do you mean?" And then I went all a bit woozy again, and he's like, "Fuck," like called everybody into action. And then they've called an ambulance, and at this point, like, they've brought me back into the main room, so now I'm sitting with them, but I'm kind of not there anymore. But what's crazy is, like, I had no control over my body, but my mind was completely aware of everything that was going on around me. Like, I couldn't respond, I couldn't talk to people, I couldn't really move, and I ended up, like, I was sitting on a sofa like this, and I ended up, like, sliding down off the sofa onto the floor, because I felt like literally I was going to keel over if I wasn't lying flat. So I get down on the floor, and I can hear them calling the ambulance, and the ambulance is going to be 50 minutes on a red light.
You said 15 or 50?
50,
man.
minimum 50
What?
minutes.
How come so long?
And by that point, I can't communicate anymore, and everybody's getting into a bigger panic. I can hear it going on all around me. And then Ollie, the security guard, my absolute guardian angel, was like, "Nah, fuck this, get her up." Literally picked me up off the floor, carried me out, threw me in the car, and drove me to the London, which was like 10 minutes away from where we were.
That was the best thing, man.
100% the best thing. Now, in the car, I don't know why I'm laughing about this, but it's funny the things that you remember. He got in the car by himself, and he left the other guys to, like, deal with whatever they had to deal with. But he didn't have anybody to kind of look after me, so I'm in the front seat. He's driving, like, I don't know what kind of speeds, but they were. I was like this, like lying about in the back of the car.
Looking a few speeds just to
But he's also trying to keep me conscious at the same time. So he's like talking to me, he's reaching over, he's giving me a shake when I kind of keep keeling over. And then we get to the hospital, and he's driven into like an administrative part of the building. Literally carrying me out the car, and the security guard's like, "This is not A&E." He's like, "I don't care, you need to get help." So the security guards run off, got a wheelchair, put me in the wheelchair, and now they're running down the corridor to get me to the actual main part of the hospital. As soon as they saw me, they like whipped me straight into a room and confirmed within like 5 minutes of getting there that I was having a major heart attack. And then they shipped me off to Bath. One of my friends had caught up from the band by that time, so they kind of went in the ambulance with me. They took us to Barts Hospital. I then was straight into the operating theatre. Straight into the operating theatre.
My God.
They can't mess around when it's the heart, because every minute counts. Because and what they found was that I had 100% blockage in my LAD artery, so that's the main artery at the front of your heart. And they actually called it the Widowmaker. So there's a section where it branches off, and if you get a blockage before that section, it stops the blood flow to all the rest of your heart. So they call it the Widowmaker because most people don't survive it. So I've you know, I feel incredible to still be here today to even be telling you this story. So I can remember going on the operating table, and it was like I separated into two parts of myself. So I was observing what was happening by that detached part of my brain, but I was also in it in full panic mode. So I can still remember like this whole process. I was crying and I was saying, "Please let me move," because I obviously had to stay really still because they were trying to get the blood clot out of the artery, but I was in so much pain in my shoulder. But then there was a detached part of me that was like telling myself to calm down. It's okay. You're all right. It's going to be fine. They're going to sort you out. And just like observing the room and what was going on around me. And then because I was kind of fidgeting so much and asking them to let me move, the clot broke. So they weren't able to get it out, and when it broke, it went down into all the little ventricles in the heart. So now it's dropped all the way down into the heart. They've managed to sort of get most of the blockage at the main bit, but it's still bleeding.
Yeah.
So they decided they were going to put a stent in. So I think they asked me to like sign a form. So I can remember signing a form, giving them permission to do it. And then they went in through my wrist. So I've got a little scar on the side of my wrist. And they threaded through your main artery all the way up, like a little tube, all the way up through your shoulder, into your heart. And I could feel it, which is weird. Like, it wasn't painful, but I could feel the movement, like inside my body. I think they'd give me sedatives or something. And then when it got to my heart, I started having a little bit of a freak out again. And then the detached part of me again was saying, it's okay, just calm down, we're saving your life right now. It's okay, just breathe. Like, calming myself down through the process.
You have to be calm in that moment, man.
Self-talk is important.
It is important. Because literally, if I'd have moved, they could have torn the artery even more. What terrible things could have happened there. You literally you have to stay still. And so I felt like all the way through, and then there was like a really weird kind of clicking motion in my chest, and that was them inflating the balloon. So there's like a balloon attached to the end of this wire that's got a tiny, tiny little wire stent wrapped around it. And they pushed that all the way into the artery, and then they inflated it, and I actually felt that inflating in my chest. And then it was done, and I was out. I mean, there's some damage. There's some damage to the outward pump of my heart because my blood flow was restricted for a period of time. So there's certain medications now, being anti-big pharma, but there's certain medications now that I have to take for life just to live, really, because I now have that foreign body in my heart. My body could reject it, or I could build up scar tissue or clotting around it. So I've got to take certain meds, which make me feel pretty crap most of the time.